The smell hit me first. Vomit, mixed with expensive cologne and trust fund entitlement. Another Friday night at Ashford Academy, another mess left by kids whose parents paid more for their cars than I'd earned in 2 years of combat pay. I pushed my mop bucket down the marble hallway, the wheels squeaking like they were complaining about the overtime. My name's Jack Connolly, 43 years old, former Navy SEAL Team 6 operator turned high school janitor. Yeah, I know how that sounds. Everyone who knows my story asks the same question. How does someone who hunted terrorists in Kandahar end up scrubbing toilets for teenagers? The answer's complicated, involving a medical discharge, PTSD that wouldn't quit, and a wife who promised she'd stick around through the rough patches. That last part turned out to be bullshit. It was 11:30 p.m. when I wheeled my cart past the administrative offices. The lights were off, but I noticed the door to the security closet, really just a glorified storage room with the school's server equipment, was slightly ajar. That was wrong. Dr. Richard Thurston, our principal, was anal about security. Everything locked, everything monitored, everything perfect for his precious academy. I should have kept walking, should have finished my shift, gone home to my rundown house in the working-class section of town, and collapsed into bed next to my wife, Erica. But 12 years of military training doesn't just disappear because you're pushing a mop instead of carrying a rifle. Something felt off. I approached the closet quietly, old habits, and peered inside. Empty. But the computer monitor was still glowing, logged into the school's administrative system. Someone had left in a hurry. I glanced down the hallway, nothing but shadows and the distant hum of the HVAC system. The smart move would have been to log it out and lock the door. Instead, I stepped inside. The screen showed an email inbox I recognized immediately, my wife's work account. Erica had been the academy's administrative coordinator for 3 years, ever since we'd moved to this New England town, trying to make a fresh start after my discharge. I wasn't trying to snoop. At least, that's what I told myself. But then I saw the preview of the most recent message, sent just 40 minutes earlier. Tonight was incredible. Can't stop thinking about you. Same place tomorrow? B. My hand froze over the mouse. B. The cursor hovered there while my brain tried to process what I was seeing. I clicked. The email opened, and suddenly I was reading things no husband should ever have to read. Explicit details, plans, a months-long affair spelled out in corporate email like it was just another business transaction. And this B, whoever he wasn't just some random guy. The email signature at the bottom of an earlier message in the thread told me everything. Blake Thurston, the principal's son, 32 years old, trust fund baby, local real estate developer who drove a BMW and wore suits that cost more than my monthly rent. I scrolled through more emails. They'd been using the security closet for their meetings, right here, in the school where I worked nights, where I mopped floors and emptied trash cans. While I was cleaning classrooms, my wife was screwing her boss's son 20 feet away. The rage came slowly, like ice water filling my veins. I'd faced enemy combatants, survived firefights, pulled wounded teammates out of hot zones. But this was a different kind of combat, and I wasn't prepared for it. I took pictures of the emails with my phone. All of them. Evidence. Then I logged out, locked the door, and went back to my cart. My hands were shaking as I gripped the mop handle. The rest of my shift passed in a blur of mechanical movements. Sweep, mop, empty, repeat. I got home at 2 a.m. Erica was asleep, or pretending to be. Our bedroom smelled like her expensive perfume, the stuff she'd started wearing 6 months ago. Treating myself, she'd said. Now I knew who she was treating. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I went to the garage, my space, cluttered with tools and old military gear I couldn't quite let go of. I sat on an overturned crate and stared at my phone, at the photos of those emails, and I started planning. Because here's what civilians don't understand about special operations. It's not about being the strongest or the fastest. It's about intelligence, patience, and executing a plan so perfectly that your enemy never sees you coming. Erica wanted to play games? Fine. But she was playing against someone who'd spent a decade learning how to win wars. Saturday morning, I made breakfast like nothing was wrong. Pancakes, bacon, coffee. Erica came downstairs at 9, looking perfect in her yoga pants and fitted top. She'd always been beautiful, dark hair, sharp features, the kind of woman who turned heads. That's what had attracted me 12 years ago, back when I was a young SEAL and she was a college senior who thought military guys were exciting. "You're up early," she said, pouring coffee. "Thought you'd sleep in after your shift." "Couldn't sleep," I said truthfully. "You want pancakes?" "Just coffee. I'm meeting Sloan for lunch." Sloan was her co-worker, another admin at the academy. "Girls' Day." "Sounds nice." I flipped a pancake I didn't want. "What time will you be back?" "Not sure. Maybe 4. We might do some shopping." She kissed my cheek, a quick, perfunctory gesture. "Don't wait up if I'm late." I'll bet you'll be late, I thought, but I just smiled and nodded. After she left, I got to work. First stop, our home office, which was really just a spare bedroom with a desk and filing cabinet. Erica wasn't careless, but she wasn't expecting surveillance from her janitor husband. I found her personal laptop in the desk drawer, password protected. The password took me 3 tries. Our wedding anniversary didn't work. Her birthday didn't work. But Blake's birthday, which I'd looked up on social media that morning, opened it right up. Jesus Christ, the laptop was a gold mine. More emails, these from her personal account, text message backups, photos I wished I'd never seen. But more interesting were the financial records. Erica had opened a separate bank account 4 months ago. Deposits from Blake, regular and substantial. $1,500 here, $2,000 there. She was getting paid for this. No, that wasn't quite right. Looking closer, the deposits came from a business account, Thurston Properties LLC, Blake's company, and the amounts corresponded with dates that matched project timelines at the academy. Blake was funneling money to Erica through fake consulting fees. I photographed everything. Then I dug deeper, and that's when things got interesting. There were emails between Erica and someone named Sloan, her supposed friend, but these weren't about lunch dates. They were planning something. References to the deal, the package, and making sure Richard doesn't find out. Richard. Dr. Thurston. Blake's father. I leaned back in the chair, mind racing. This wasn't just an affair. There was something else going on, something involving the principal and his son, some kind of scheme. I needed more information. I needed help. I pulled out my phone and called the one person I knew I could trust. "Doc," Mike Donahue answered on the second ring. "Jackie boy, what's up, brother?" Mike and I had served together for 6 years. He'd been our team medic, the guy who'd saved my life twice and countless others. After discharge, he'd become a paramedic in the next town over. We didn't see each other often. My marriage had gotten in the way of most of my friendships, but the bond between guys who've been in combat together doesn't fade. "I need your help with something," I said, "and it's going to sound crazy. Brother, I've pulled shrapnel out of your ass in a firefight. Nothing sounds crazy anymore. Talk to me." I told him everything. The emails, the affair, the money, the hints of something bigger. Mike listened without interrupting, which was one of his best qualities. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then, "So what do you want to do? You want me to help you confront this Blake asshole? Because I will absolutely help you kick his teeth in." "No, not yet." I stared at the laptop screen. "I want to know what they're planning. Whatever this deal is, it involves the principal, and if Erica's getting paid, there's got to be more to it. You want to run surveillance? On your own wife? I want to know what I'm dealing with before I make a move. Can you help? Does a one-legged duck swim in circles? Hell yes, I can help. I'm off tomorrow. Let's do some old-fashioned recon." After hanging up with Mike, I spent the rest of the day restoring everything to exactly how I'd found it. Erica came home at 7, 3 hours later than she'd promised, smelling like wine and wearing a new bracelet I definitely hadn't bought her. "How was lunch?" I asked. "Great. Sloan and I had such a good time. We went to that new place downtown. She showed me shopping bags from stores she'd clearly visited. The bracelet wasn't in any of them." "How was your day?" "Quiet. Just hung around the house." I smiled. "That's a nice bracelet. New?" She touched it reflexively, and I saw the flash of panic in her eyes before she recovered. "Oh, this? I've had it for a while. Must have forgotten to wear it." Liar. "Looks expensive," I pressed. It wasn't. Anyway, I'm exhausted. I'm going to take a bath and go to bed early. She headed upstairs without kissing me goodnight. I waited until I heard the bathroom door close, then went back to the garage. My war room, as Mike would call it. I pulled out an old tactical notebook and started mapping out what I knew. Erica was having an affair with Blake Thurston. Blake was paying her through his company. They were planning something involving Blake's father, the principal. They were using the school for their meetings. And Sloan, Erica's friend, was involved somehow. I needed more intel, and I knew exactly where to get it. Sunday afternoon, I drove to Murphy's Bar, a dive on the edge of town where the blue-collar crowd gathered, the kind of place where nobody from Ashford Academy would ever set foot. The parking lot was half full of pickup trucks and older sedans, and the neon Budweiser sign in the window flickered like it was having a seizure. Inside, the air smelled like beer and fried food. The jukebox was playing classic rock. A handful of regulars occupied their usual spots at the bar. This was my world, not Erica's, not Blake Thurston's. "Jack Connolly!" Big Sal, the bartender, grinned when he saw me. Sal was 300 pounds of former high school football glory, now running this place for the past 20 years. "Where the hell you been, stranger? Haven't seen you in months." "Been busy." I slid onto a bar stool. "Beer, whatever's cold." He poured me a draft and leaned against the bar. "How's Erica? She still got you on that short leash?" I took a long drink. "Actually, Sal, I wanted to ask you something. You hear much gossip about folks from the academy?" Sal's eyebrows went up. "The rich kid school?" "Some. Why?" "Just curious. You know Blake Thurston? The principal's kid?" "Yeah, he comes in sometimes. Acts like he's doing us a favor by drinking here," Sal said. "Why ask about him?" "He's been hanging around the school. Thought maybe he was causing trouble." Sal glanced at Tina, who was wiping down tables nearby. "Tina, come here." Tina walked over, her bleached blonde hair and tough demeanor saying she'd seen it all. "What's up?" "Jack's asking about Blake Thurston. You know anything?" Tina's expression shifted. "Oh, I know plenty. That boy's been hanging with some shady people. Saw him here 2 weeks ago meeting with Marco Ortega." I sat up. "Marco Ortega? The drug guy?" "Yeah, that's him." Tina lit a cigarette. They were in the back booth talking for an hour. Blake looked real nervous. This was new. Blake, a rich kid meeting with a gang leader? What were they talking about? Couldn't hear much, but I caught the old man and insurance. Blake kept saying they had to be careful. She exhaled smoke. "Why? He owe you money?" "Something like that." I finished my beer. "Seen him with a woman? Dark hair, late 30s, real polished?" Sal and Tina exchanged glances. "Yeah," Sal said. "He's been here with a woman like that. Cozy in the corner. That your wife?" The silence stretched. I nodded. "Shit," Tina said. "Sorry, hun." "Don't be. Just helps to know." I paid for my beer and left a big tip. "If you hear anything else, let me know." "Absolutely," Sal said. "And Jack, if you need anything at all, you call me." I left Murphy's with more questions than answers. Blake was meeting with Marco Ortega, and Blake and Erica were having an affair. Money was changing hands, and now there was talk of insurance. My phone buzzed. A text from Mike. "Free tomorrow night. Want to do that thing we talked about?" I replied, Yeah, meet me at the school at midnight. Bring your old surveillance kit. Monday night, Mike showed up at Ashford Academy at 11:45 in his beat-up Jeep, wearing all black. He pulled a backpack from the back seat. Man, this brings back memories, he said, grinning. Except the enemy had worse aim and better ethics. You sure about this? I asked. If we get caught, remember Helmand Province? This is a cakewalk. He pulled out audio bugs, a wireless camera, and a signal jammer. What's the target? Security closet, admin offices, and the principal's office if we can. We moved through the dark campus like ghosts. My keycard got us into the main building, and my knowledge of the security blind spots got us to the admin wing undetected. First, we hit the security closet. Mike planted a tiny audio bug behind the server rack. This'll pick up any conversation in here and send it to your phone, he explained. 2 weeks on the battery. Next, we searched the administrative offices. Erica's desk was locked, but I picked the lock, another skill I'd kept sharp, and we found more financial documents. Mike photographed everything. Then we hit gold. In the bottom drawer, hidden under old reports, was a burner phone. Well, Mike muttered. That's not suspicious at all. I powered it on. There were messages between Erica and Blake, but also messages to M.O., Marco Ortega. The most recent exchange was from earlier that day. M.O. Thursday night, warehouse on Porter Street. Bring the package. Erica. What about Richard? M.O. He'll be there. This is it. Don't screw up. Blake, in a group text. Everything's set. Dad doesn't suspect anything. What the hell is this? Mike whispered. I don't know, but we'll find out. I photographed the messages and powered off the phone. We planted another bug in the principal's office after picking 2 locks. Dr. Thurston's desk had a file labeled Insurance Claim, Pending. Inside were documents related to a massive insurance policy on the school's art collection, worth over $2 million. Holy shit, Mike said, reading over my shoulder. Insurance fraud? Yeah. They're going to steal the art, make it look like a theft, and split the payout. I photographed the documents. Blake's the inside man, Erica's helping, and Dr. Thurston gets to claim his school was robbed. And your wife gets a cut, Mike said, shaking his head. That's cold. We finished the sweep and got out of the building without incident. In the parking lot, Mike turned to me. So what's the play? Call the cops? Not yet. I want to catch them in the act. Solid evidence they can't wiggle out of. And I want Erica to know I'm the one who took her down. Thursday night, then? Yeah, but first I need to talk to some old friends. Mike raised an eyebrow. Still in touch with the guys from the neighborhood? Not for a while. Erica didn't like them. I smiled grimly. But it's time for a reunion. Tuesday evening, I drove to the south side of town where I'd grown up. The houses here were smaller, the cars older, the streets rougher. This was where I'd lived before the Navy, before Erica, before I'd tried to climb into a better life. I parked outside Tony's auto shop, a grimy garage that had been there since before I was born. 3 guys were standing outside, smoking and talking. I recognized all of them, Tony Marconi, Dave Chen, and Pete Sullivan. We'd been best friends growing up, stayed close even after I joined the military. But after I married Erica, things had changed. Holy shit, Tony said when he saw me. Jack Connolly, thought you forgot about us little people. There was an edge to his voice. I deserved that. Hey guys, I said, walking over. Been a while. 3 years, Dave said flatly. 3 years since you came around, since your wife decided we weren't good enough to associate with. Pete just stared at me, arms crossed. He'd been my best friend since kindergarten, and I'd missed his wedding because Erica had scheduled a dinner party the same night. I'd chosen her over him. I know, I said. I screwed up. I let my marriage get in the way of my friendships, and I'm sorry. Sorry? Tony laughed bitterly. Man, we tried. We invited you to everything. But Erica always had some excuse why you couldn't come. and you always chose her. You're right. She did make excuses, and I let her. I was trying to be the husband she wanted, and I lost myself in the process. I looked at each of them. But things have changed. I need to tell you something. I told them about the affair, about Blake, about the insurance fraud scheme, everything. They listened in silence, their anger gradually shifting to something else, concern, maybe, or pity. When I finished, Pete spoke first. Jesus, Jack, I'm sorry, that's rough. Yeah, well, I'm not here looking for sympathy. I'm here because I need help, and you guys are the only ones I trust. Help with what? Tony asked. Stopping them, catching them in the act, making sure they all go down. Erica, Blake, the principal, all of them. Dave shook his head. Man, why would we help you? You ditched us for that woman. You chose her over us every single time. You're right, I did. And I was wrong. I met his eyes. But I'm asking now, not as the guy who abandoned his friends, but as someone who needs his brothers back. Please. The silence stretched out. Finally, Tony sighed. Damn it, Jack. You always were good at the guilt trip. He looked at the others. What do you guys think? Pete stepped forward and extended his hand. We're in. But after this is done, you owe us. Big time. Starting with being at my kid's birthday party next month. You have a kid? I shook his hand, feeling emotion tighten my throat. 2 kids. You'd know that if you'd been around. But he was smiling slightly. Now tell us the plan. We spent the next 2 hours in Tony's garage, mapping out Thursday night. Tony's shop had surveillance equipment. He'd installed security systems as a side business. Dave worked in IT and could help with digital evidence. Pete was a construction foreman and knew the warehouse district like the back of his hand. The warehouse on Porter Street, Pete said, studying a map. That's Marco Ortega's main storage facility. 2 entrances, loading dock in the back, office on the 2nd floor. If they're meeting there, it's serious. We need eyes inside, Dave said. Cameras, audio, the works. And we need to make sure the cops get there at exactly the right moment. I've got a contact in the department, Tony said. Detective Sarah Lacey. She's straight, doesn't play politics. If we bring her solid evidence, she'll move on it. Then that's our play, I said. We document everything Thursday night, then hand it to Detective Lacey gift-wrapped. What about your wife? Pete asked quietly. You ready for her to go to prison? I thought about Erica, about our 12 years together, the good times before everything went wrong, the woman I'd thought I'd married. Then I thought about her in that security closet with Blake Thurston, about the burner phone and the secret bank accounts, about how she'd isolated me from my friends and made me into someone I didn't recognize. Yeah, I said. I'm ready. Wednesday night, I came home from my shift at 2 a.m. to find Erica still awake, sitting at the kitchen table with a glass of wine. We need to talk, she said. My heart rate spiked, but I kept my face neutral. About what? About us. About this marriage. She took a drink. Jack, I don't think this is working anymore. Really? I sat down across from her. What gave it away? Don't be sarcastic. I'm trying to have a serious conversation. She set down her glass. You're not the man I married. You're a janitor, Jack. You clean up after teenagers. You have no ambition, no drive. You're not going anywhere. I'm a janitor because I have PTSD from serving my country, because I needed a job with minimal stress while I figured out my life. It's been 4 years. How long are you going to use that as an excuse? Her voice rose. I've been patient. I've supported you, but I can't do this anymore. Supported me? I laughed coldly. Is that what you call it? Because from where I'm sitting, you've been pretty busy supporting Blake Thurston. Her face went white. What? I know about the affair, Erica. I know about Blake, about the security closet, about everything. She stood up abruptly. You've been spying on me? You've been screwing your boss's son in the building where I work. Did you think I wouldn't find out? How long have you known? Her voice was shaking now. Long enough to realize that the woman I married doesn't exist anymore. Maybe she never did. Erica's shock was shifting to something else. Anger, defensiveness. You want to know the truth, Jack? Fine. Yes, I've been seeing Blake. Because he treats me like I matter. He takes me to nice restaurants, buys me gifts, makes me feel special. When's the last time you did any of that? When's the last time I could afford it? When's the last time you didn't make me feel like a failure for doing honest work? Honest work? She laughed harshly. You're a janitor. You could have gone back to school, gotten a real job, made something of yourself. But no, you wanted to wallow in your trauma and push a mop. I have PTSD, Erica. I watched friends fall. I took lives. That doesn't just disappear because it's inconvenient for you. And I'm supposed to put my life on hold forever? I'm 38 years old, Jack. I want more than this. She gestured around our modest kitchen. Blake can give me that. Blake can give you a prison sentence, you mean? She froze. What are you talking about? I know about the insurance fraud, the art theft you're planning, Marco Ortega, the warehouse, all of it. I stood up, facing her. Did you really think you'd get away with it? Her face cycled through emotions, fear, anger, calculation. Then she smiled, and it was the coldest expression I'd ever seen on her. You can't prove anything. And even if you could, who's going to believe a janitor with PTSD over a respected principal and his successful son? We'll see about that. You know what? I'm done with this conversation. She grabbed her purse. I'm staying at a hotel tonight. Tomorrow I'm calling a divorce lawyer. Good. Save me the trouble. She headed for the door, then turned back. You're pathetic, Jack. You're a washed-up soldier playing janitor, and you'll never be anything more. I should have left you years ago. Yeah, you should have, before you became a criminal. She slammed the door on her way out. I stood in the kitchen, hands shaking with rage and adrenaline. Part of me wanted to punch something, to break something, to let out the fury building inside me. Instead, I pulled out my phone and called Mike. She knows, I said when he answered. I confronted her about Blake. She's going to warn them. Shit. You think they'll cancel tomorrow night? No. They're in too deep. The insurance claim is already filed. Marco's crew is already hired. They'll move forward and hope I don't have real evidence. I paced the kitchen. Which means tomorrow night is our only shot. Then we better make it count. I'll call Tony and the guys, make sure everything's ready. Mike, thanks for having my back on this. Brother, that's what we do. See you tomorrow night. After hanging up, I went to the garage and looked at my old military gear. Body armor, tactical vest, night vision goggles, stuff I'd kept from my SEAL days. Tomorrow night wasn't a combat mission, but it felt like one. I was going to war with my own wife. Thursday night, 11 p.m. Pete, Tony, Dave, Mike, and I were positioned around the warehouse on Porter Street, hidden in the shadows. Tony had installed 4 wireless cameras earlier that day, disguised as electrical boxes. Dave had hacked into the warehouse's security system and disabled the alarms. Mike had medical supplies in case things went sideways, and I had my old Sig Sauer P226, just in case. Movement! Pete's voice came through my earpiece. He was on the roof of the adjacent building with a long-range camera. Black BMW, pulling into the loading dock. That's Blake Thurston. Through my night vision goggles, I watched Blake get out of his car, looking nervous. He was wearing expensive casual clothes and kept checking his phone. Second vehicle, Tony reported from his position near the front entrance. Mercedes, that's Dr. Thurston. The principal emerged from his Mercedes, looking older and more haggard than I'd ever seen him at school. He walked over to Blake, and they had a brief, heated conversation. I couldn't hear the words, but the body language was clear. Blake was anxious. His father was angry. Third vehicle, Dave said. Honda Accord, female driver. Erica. My wife pulled into the lot and parked next to Blake's BMW. She got out wearing dark clothes, carrying a large bag. When she reached Blake and his father, Dr. Thurston grabbed her arm roughly. Even from a distance, I could see her wince. "Cameras are recording," Tony confirmed. "We're getting everything." "Fourth vehicle," Pete said. "Black SUV, tinted windows. That's gotta be Marco's crew." The SUV parked, and 3 men got out. I recognized Marco Ortega from his mugshot. Late 20s, covered in tattoos, wearing a leather jacket. The 2 men with him were muscle, big guys with the kind of build that came from prison weightlifting. Now, all the players were in position. Moving to closer position, I whispered into my mic. I crept along the side of the warehouse, staying in the shadows, until I was close enough to hear their conversation through an open window. "Can't believe we're actually doing this," Dr. Thurston was saying. His voice was shaky. "If anyone finds out—" "Nobody's going to find out," Blake interrupted. "Marco's crew has done this a dozen times. They'll take the art, make it look like a real theft, and we'll have the insurance money in 6 weeks. "And my cut?" Marco asked. His voice was surprisingly soft, almost gentle. That made him more dangerous, not less. 20% like we agreed, Blake said. "That's 400,000. Better be. Because if you try to screw me, I'll make sure everyone knows whose idea this was." Marco looked at Dr. Thurston. "Including your precious school board." "I don't like threats," Dr. Thurston said, trying to sound authoritative and failing. "Not a threat, just facts." Marco turned to Erica. "You got the security codes?" She pulled papers from her bag. "Everything you need. Alarm codes, camera positions, guard schedules. The art is in the East Wing Gallery, 2nd floor." I was recording all of this on my phone, the audio crystal clear. "Good girl," Blake said, putting his arm around Erica. She leaned into him, and something twisted in my chest. Not heartbreak, I was past that. Just cold, hard anger. "We move in 30 minutes, Marco said. "My guys will go in, grab the paintings, and be out in 15 minutes. You 3 stay here. When it's done, we meet at the secondary location tomorrow to discuss payment." "What about the janitor?" Erica asked suddenly. Everyone looked at her. "What janitor?" Marco asked. "My husband. He works nights at the school. What if he's there?" Blake laughed. "Jack? He's harmless. Just a washed-up soldier pushing a mop. Even if he sees something, who's going to believe him?" "He knows about us," Erica said quietly. "About the affair. He confronted me last night." The group went silent. Dr. Thurston looked furious. "You didn't think to mention this earlier?" "It doesn't matter," Blake insisted. "He doesn't know about the insurance plan. And even if he suspects something, he has no proof." "You better be right," Marco said. "Because if this job goes sideways, I'm taking all of you down with me." I'd heard enough. I backed away from the window and spoke into my mic. "Did everyone get that?" "Every word," Tony confirmed. "Crystal clear video and audio. This is enough to put them all away." "Detective Lacey is standing by," Dave added. "She's got units ready to move on your signal." I looked at my watch. 25 minutes until Marco's crew would hit the school. Time to end this. "Make the call," I said. "Tell Lacey to bring everyone. We're taking them all down tonight." "Wait," Mike's voice came through. "Movement at the warehouse. Someone else is arriving." I moved back to my observation position. Another car was pulling into the lot, a beat-up sedan I didn't recognize. The driver got out, and a chill ran through me. It was Doc, Mike Donahue, my best friend, my brother from the SEALs, the guy who was supposed to be on my team. He walked straight to Marco Ortega and shook his hand. "What the hell?" Pete's voice in my ear. "Is that Mike?" I couldn't speak. I just watched as Mike and Marco talked like old friends, as Mike handed over a manila envelope, as Marco counted out cash and gave it to him. "Sorry I'm late," Mike was saying. "Had to make sure Jack was occupied tonight." "Where is he?" Blake asked nervously. "Home, probably crying into his beer about his cheating wife." Mike laughed. "Guy's pathetic. Used to be a badass, now he's just a broken-down janitor." The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Mike, my teammate, the guy I'd trusted with my life, was working with them, had been working with them all along. "You sure he doesn't suspect anything?" Erica asked. "He thinks I'm helping him spy on you. Thinks we're running some kind of revenge operation." Mike shook his head. "He has no idea I've been feeding you information the whole time." "And the equipment you planted at the school?" Dr. Thurston asked. "Fake. Non-functional. Just props to make Jack think we were doing something." Mike pocketed the cash. "You've got nothing to worry about. Jack Connolly is not a threat." Something inside me shifted. The anger I'd been feeling toward Erica, toward Blake, toward all of them, it crystallized into something cold and focused. They'd all betrayed me, even the one person I'd thought I could trust. Fine. If they wanted to see what a broken-down janitor could do, I'd show them. I switched my mic to a different channel, one that only connected to Tony, Pete, and Dave. "Change of plans. Mike's compromised. He's working with them." "Holy shit," Tony breathed. "What do? We stick to the plan, but we don't tell Mike anything. Tony, are your cameras real?" "Yeah, completely functional. Mike didn't know about them." "Good. Dave, is Detective Lacey still standing by?" "Affirmative. Tell her to move in. Now, before they hit the school. We take them all down right here, right now." "Copy that." I moved closer to the warehouse, staying hidden. Through the window, I could see all of them. Erica, Blake, Dr. Thurston, Marco and his crew, and Mike. All the people who'd betrayed me, who'd underestimated me, who'd thought I was too broken to fight back. They were about to learn a very painful lesson. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Marco's head snapped up. "What the hell?" "It's the cops," one of his crew members shouted. Everyone panicked at once. Blake ran for his BMW. Dr. Thurston froze like a deer in headlights. Marco's crew pulled out weapons, and Erica, my wife, looked around frantically, searching for an escape route. I stepped out of the shadows, into the light spilling from the warehouse. They all saw me at once. "Looking for me?" I asked. Erica's face went white. "Jack." "Surprise. Turns out this broken-down janitor isn't as stupid as you all thought." Mike stepped forward, and I could see him calculating, trying to figure out how to salvage the situation. "Jack, brother, this isn't what it looks like. Save it." I held up my phone. "I've got everything recorded, every word, every confession, all of it, and it's already been sent to the police." The sirens were louder now, just blocks away. Police cars screeched into the parking lot, lights flashing. Officers poured out, weapons drawn. "Nobody move! Hands up!" It was chaos. Marco's crew tried to run and were tackled immediately. Dr. Thurston collapsed to his knees, sobbing. Blake was screaming about his lawyer, and Mike just stared at me with something that might have been regret. Erica tried to run to me. "Jack, please, you have to help me." "No," I said simply. "I don't." Detective Sarah Lacey approached, a tall woman in her 40s with sharp eyes. "Mr. Connolly, I'm Detective Lacey. Your friends filled me in. That was some impressive work." "Just doing my civic duty." She smiled slightly. "We'll need your statement and all the evidence you collected. But from what I'm seeing here, you just broke up a major insurance fraud operation and caught a gang leader in the process. The DA's gonna love you." I watched as they handcuffed Erica. She was crying now, mascara running down her face, begging the officers to listen to her. She looked at me one last time, and I saw the moment she realized I wasn't going to save her. "Jack!" she screamed. "Jack, please, I'm sorry, I love you!" I turned away. Those words meant nothing now. Tony, Pete, and Dave emerged from their hiding spots, grinning. Pete clapped me on the shoulder. "Hell of a night, brother." "Yeah." I watched them load everyone into police cars. "Hell of a night." 3 months later, I stood in the courtroom and watched them sentence my wife. The trial had been quick. With the video evidence, audio recordings, and testimony from multiple witnesses, the DA had built an airtight case. Erica, Blake, Dr. Thurston, Marco Ortega, and Mike Donahue had all been convicted on multiple charges: conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted theft, and in Marco's case, additional drug trafficking charges. The judge was a stern woman in her 60s who'd shown no sympathy for any of them. "Ms. Connolly," she said, looking at Erica, "you were in a position of trust at an educational institution, and you betrayed that trust for personal gain. You showed no remorse, no consideration for the consequences of your actions. I hereby sentence you to 6 years in federal prison." Erica sobbed. Her lawyer put a hand on her shoulder, but she shook it off. She turned to look at me in the gallery, her eyes pleading. I looked back with no expression at all. Blake Thurston got 8 years. Dr. Thurston got 5, but his career was destroyed. He'd never work in education again. Marco Ortega got 15 years on combined charges, and Mike Donahue, my former best friend, got 7 years. When Mike's sentence was read, he looked at me. I saw him mouth the words, "I'm sorry." Too late for that. After the sentencing, I walked out of the courthouse into bright sunshine. Tony, Pete, and Dave were waiting for me. "How you feeling?" Pete asked. "Honestly? I don't know." I looked up at the sky. "It's over, but it doesn't feel like I thought it would." "Revenge never does," Tony said. "But you did the right thing. They were criminals, and they're paying for it." "What happens now?" Dave asked. "Now?" I smiled. "Now I get my life back." I'd already quit my job at Ashford Academy. The new principal, brought in to clean up the mess, had offered me a position as head of security, but I'd declined. I was done with that place. Instead, I'd enrolled in classes at the community college, criminal justice, with a focus on private investigation. Turned out there was a demand for someone with my particular skill set: military experience, surveillance expertise, and a talent for uncovering the truth. I'd also reconnected with my old friends. Real friends, the kind who had your back even when you screwed up. Pete's kid's birthday party had been last month, and I'd been there with a ridiculously expensive present and a genuine smile. "You guys want to grab a beer?" I asked. "Hell yes," Tony said. "Murphy's? Where else?" We drove to the bar in Tony's truck, laughing and talking like old times. Big Sal greeted us with his usual enthusiasm, and Tina gave me a hug. "Heard about the trial," she said. "Good for you, hun. That woman got what she deserved." "Yeah, she did." We drank beer and played pool and told stories. Nobody mentioned Erica or the trial or any of it. We just existed in the moment, 4 friends who'd been through hell and come out the other side. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Mr. Connolly, this is Detective Lacey. I wanted to let you know that we recovered the money Blake Thurston paid to your wife. It's being held as evidence, but after the trial concludes, it will be returned to you as the injured party. Approximately $47,000. Thought you'd want to know." I stared at the message. $47,000. Money that Erica had taken from her lover. Money she'd hidden from me. Money that was now mine. "Everything okay?" Pete asked. "Yeah." I pocketed my phone. "Everything's perfect." I used that money to start my private investigation business 6 months later. Connolly Investigations had a nice ring to it. My first client was a woman who suspected her husband was cheating. I found out he was, documented everything, and helped her get a divorce settlement that left him broke and alone. Felt good to be on the right side of that equation for once. The business grew. Turns out, a lot of people need someone who can uncover the truth, someone who doesn't quit, someone who understands that sometimes you have to go to war to protect what matters. I never visited Erica in prison, never took her calls, never responded to her letters. As far as I was concerned, that chapter of my life was closed. But I did visit Mike once. Just once. He looked older in his prison jumpsuit, smaller somehow. We sat across from each other in the visiting room, separated by a plexiglass barrier. "Why?" I asked. "Why'd you do it?" He was quiet for a long time. "Money," Marco approached me 2 years ago, offered me cash to keep an eye on things at the school. Small stuff at first, just information. Then it got bigger. By the time I realized how deep I was, I couldn't get out. You could have told me. I know, but I was ashamed. You were my hero, Jack. The guy who always did the right thing. How could I tell you I'd become a criminal? So you betrayed me instead? Yeah. He looked down at his hands. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I am. You're right. It doesn't mean anything. I stood up. Goodbye, Mike. Jack, wait. I walked away and never looked back. Epilogue. Dirty work. 2 years after the trial, I got a call from Big Sal at Murphy's bar. Jack, you need to get down here, now. I drove over, wondering what was urgent enough for that tone of voice. When I walked in, I found Sal, Tina, Tony, Pete, Dave, and about 20 other regulars all gathered around the TV. What's going on? Just watch, Sal said, pointing to the screen. It was a news broadcast. The reporter was standing outside Ashford Academy. Shocking development in the case that shook this community 2 years ago. Former principal Dr. Richard Thurston was found unresponsive in his prison cell this morning, an apparent suicide. This comes just days after his son, Blake Thurston, was attacked by fellow inmates and remains in critical condition. Meanwhile, Erica Connolly, the former administrator whose testimony helped convict several co-conspirators, has been released early for good behavior and cooperation with authorities. What? There's more, Tina said quietly. The reporter continued. Ms. Connolly was released yesterday and is reportedly leaving the state to start a new life. In a statement, she expressed remorse for her actions and gratitude for a second chance. The screen showed footage of Erica walking out of prison. She looked thinner, older, but still recognizable. She got into a waiting car and drove away. Son of a bastard, I breathed. She got out early. 4 years instead of 6, Tony said. Probably testified against the others, got a deal. I felt the old anger rising up. After everything, after the betrayal, the trial, the justice I'd fought so hard for, she was just walking away? My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Hi, Jack. Erica's voice. Older, more tired, but still hers. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. You're damn right I don't. Please, just listen. I'm sorry. For everything. I was selfish and stupid and I hurt you. I know I can't make it right. But I wanted you to know that I've changed. Prison changed me. I'm not that person anymore. Good for you. I'm leaving town, starting over somewhere else. I just wanted to say goodbye and to tell you that you were right. About everything. You deserved better than what I gave you. I looked around Murphy's bar, at my friends watching me with concern, at the life I'd built from the ashes of my marriage. Yeah, I did. I hope you're happy, Jack. I really do. I am. No thanks to you. Silence on the line. Then, goodbye, Jack. Goodbye, Erica. I hung up and put the phone away. Everyone was looking at me. You okay? Pete asked. I thought about it. Really thought about it. Was I okay? Yeah, I was. I had my business, my friends, my self-respect. I had a life that was mine, built on my own terms without anyone's betrayal or manipulation. Erica was someone else's problem now. I'm good, I said. Let's have a drink. We raised our glasses, and Sal made a toast. To Jack Connolly, the janitor who cleaned house. Everyone laughed and drank, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years, genuine peace. The past was behind me. The people who'd betrayed me were paying their debts, one way or another, and I was moving forward, stronger and smarter than before. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something better from the ruins. I finished my beer and smiled. You know what? I've got a new case starting Monday. Wealthy guy thinks his business partner is embezzling. Should be interesting. That's our Jack, Tony said. Always working. Someone's got to do the dirty work. We stayed at Murphy's until closing time, laughing and telling stories. When I finally drove home, to my new apartment downtown, nothing fancy but mine, I felt lighter than I had in years. The next morning, I woke up early and went for a run. The sun was coming up, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. My phone buzzed with a message from my first client of the day, confirming our meeting. I smiled and started running faster. Jack Connolly, former Navy SEAL, former janitor, current private investigator. A man who'd been betrayed, beaten down, and underestimated. A man who'd fought back and won. The janitor who'd cleaned house. And I was just getting started.